Hello, my friends, and welcome to Adobe Live. I'm your host, Kieran Lewis, a freelance graphic designer based in rainy London. And on today's stream, we have the amazing brand director and Diana Jakubcova. How you doing, Diana?
I'm doing really, really well.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
awesome.
Hopefully I'm doing well
Yeah,
as well.
of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to sort of see your design process today. I'm sure all of our lovely friends on our chat are as well. So massive welcome wherever you're tuning in from, whether you're on YouTube or Behance, a massive, massive welcome. I can see you guys coming in thick and fast. There's Sam, Macaron, and Colby. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As always, anything you guys want to get to Diana while she's designing, please do get in the chat. You know, get the love in there. Anything about a design process, let us know. We like to hear it. And also let us know where you're tuning in from. Which part of the world are you guys tuning in from? We love to hear it. And before we dive into the real nitty gritty of Diana's process, just a few little reminders for you lovely people. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our Adobe Live channel on YouTube. And there you can stay up to date with our latest streams and participate in the Adobe Live community and so much more. And if you've missed the previous stream, you can catch the replay on Behance and YouTube. Check out Jesus Ramirez as he creates a professional movie poster using Photoshop. Awesome, right? I know. So Diana, that's enough from my end. About yourself, we would love to know a bit about yourself and what you're working on for today's stream.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me today. So just a short introduction of, where I'm from, what's happening. I don't know if you guys can see the screen just yet. Oh yeah, there it is. I am a founder of Deeply Rooted Studio. So we are a branding and consultancy firm helping online educators, service providers, or agency owners build extraordinary brands through our signature Deeply Rooted method, which I will be showcasing over these 2 days. And, how it works basically in the online space, what is different when you are branding someone in the online space and someone, let's say like a brick and mortar shop or a restaurant, because there are a few differences here and there. So let's have a look at the new website. It's actually new. We just rebranded. So
it's looking
I'm like,
fresh. I love it. Yeah, I'm liking the
let's
font.
have a look
it's
at
a really
this.
cool choose of fonts.
Thank you. I have been searching for the right font for 4 months, actually. Wow. The struggle is real. It's different because as someone who does branding, you do want something that's different, right? And each time I picked out something, I was like, no, this has to go. Like, this is not it. Yeah. No,
it's difficult, right? Trying to search for the perfect. I mean, does the perfect font even exist? I don't know, but do you know what I mean? Like, where you're just searching and but 4 months. Wow, that's dedication.
Yeah,
I love it.
I know. So let's have a look. What is happening here? So essentially, we work with more established business owners that have been in the online space for around 2 to 3 years. They know how to bring in the revenue, but they are looking for branding that stands out. I feel like these days, everyone is looking for, branding that stands out, something that is different. No one else
Make
has.
It pop, right?
Yeah. So that's why we have developed like a full circle brand approach, which basically is a combination of done for you services, like an agency services plus consultancy, which ultimately sometimes you have the one part, but you're missing the other part where you don't have the execution part. And then you're just left with the consultancy. And then a lot of the clients, they are not really sure on how to execute, how to use their brands or what to do with their branding. So we are basically changing the way that online entrepreneurs access the brand development, specifically for the online industry. We do focus on brand direction, creative direction, website design, and launch architecture. That's our new service, which is essentially similar to what we will be doing over these 2 days. Okay. This sometimes can be an online membership or online program, coaching program, or any like a sub-branding new business division. Now, a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I have a background in fashion and marketing. So I do have a fashion design degree. I studied in Denmark. And that's where I started to use Adobe, So, and that was 6-7 years ago, actually.
Okay.
Let's head over here. About us, right? So that's where I started to use Adobe the first time. And I feel like that's when like this whole creative journey has started. I was always a really creative type of person. I love technology as well, which was kind of like not weird, but I'm very like small and short. So everyone, like no one would expect that, oh yeah, she likes technology,
You're trying to trick them, but I love that. It's just like it's unexpected, no?
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So that's kind of my background. And then in 2020, I have decided to start my own business, but this isn't the first business I had run. I previously had an e-commerce store. I was selling like a print on demand, drop shipping when it was, popular and cool back in 2000 and what was it? 16, 17, I think.
Okay.
Then I also ran another online business with my boyfriend, but then we have decided to shut it down. And then the Periodic Studio was born. So that was like 2 years ago. Yeah.
That's so cool though to like hear like because I guess that would have been before the pandemic, before lockdown maybe.
During.
I don't know. I was during the period. Okay, that's actually quite interesting to hear like that process even during that period because I imagine the struggles. No. And again, for anyone in the chat, I feel like they can hopefully relate to some of the, especially if they're quite new to maybe set up their own businesses. But again, for you guys in the chat, this is like the perfect time to any questions, related to branding and even about Diana's story. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer it whilst we're designing. But it's cool to hear your story.
Yeah.
And your website's absolutely beautiful, by the way. The color palette is, and of course the font is spot on. I mean, 4 months looking. I mean, it's gonna have to be good. What kind of person would I be if I didn't like the 4-month search? I mean, it's looking great. It's looking really.
That would
cool.
be a fail. Yeah.
That would be a massive L on my part. But yeah, and in terms of today, what would you say we'll be working on? So for our lovely audience to know what's going on.
So today we'll be working on creating brand assets. It's like a subdivision of main branding, which is like a agency. PR and marketing agency based in Toronto, and we will be creating an online membership. So a set of assets, brand direction out of the main branding, and how you basically need to connect different dots, different things, so that it still resembles the main brand.
Nice. Is it a private members or can the whole Adobelive audience, can we all join as well? Because it's like open
Everyone can join. Anyone can join.
That's what I like to hear. That is why I like. There's no doors shut here. I love that. And I can see a few people in the chat are kind of sharing location as well where they're from. We've got Mewedwa, I hope I got it correctly, from Kenya. Steve from New Zealand. Said it's sunny and warm there, jealous. Rub it in. But welcome. And of course, RB and Sam. So yeah, a massive welcome to you guys. And also, Diana, we've got Medwedwa, who's mentioned the font struggle is too real. So I feel like they vibe with you when it comes to the search for a good font. So yeah, always get those questions in, guys.
Real. It is real. Hopefully today we won't be struggling too much with the font choices because we only have 2 hours. We don't have 4 months.
But you know what the benefit is as well? Like, this is always amazing with the streams that we do, because I always find when we're a bit of a creative block or a bit stuck, we can always get the chat involved, and we do like little polls as well. I know that always goes down quite well. We do like a little poll, and I feel like, yeah, we can definitely do a little poll today if we're stuck between a few options or choices. It's almost like having a third person basically, but just a really big third person. I love the audience. So yeah, it's awesome.
I love that. Okay, so let's jump into the project area that I have created.
Awesome.
So I will just walk you through.
What's our first program? So for our audience.
So we are creating an online membership branding, which is called Socials Club.
Awesome. Okay. And we're in InDesign, are we today? For the
We are in Illustrator right now.
Gotcha. That's my eyes not obviously working correctly. Cool. Okay, Illustrator.
It's evening. All good. No worries.
Sweet. Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so let's dive in. By the way, I just bought a new iMac, so I transitioned from like a small laptop, MacBook Pro, from year 2015 into this large thing, you know, that I can see here, and all of my, like the keyboard is quite different. So if you guys see me today, you know, pressing some weird buttons on my screen, it's only because this keyboard is in a different language as well. So just to let you know.
that's a mission in itself. But like I feel like we're all behind you when it comes to trying to solve that issue. It's interesting you mentioned like that transition between like a MacBook desk or even like big to small. It's like jumping in a car that you haven't driven before, right? It feels you have to kind of get used to it. And are you comfortable in like a big screen? Like what's your kind of setup now that you've got like a desktop monitor? Is it just the desktop?
So now it's like a very large setup for me, especially because I have been traveling for the past 3 years. I lived in Bali, so all I had was this, you know, good small laptop getting the work done. And now, you know, there's just so many things going on. So I'm like, you know, I shut down a couple of things here and there. So hopefully I won't do anything like this today.
No, don't shut us down. We want to stay with you, Diana. We don't want us to leave. We don't want to leave you. So don't leave us. Don't shut us down. But we're all here. Awesome, cool. Let's jump into it.
Cool. So the branding and online membership. The Socialista Club is an exclusive membership club for business babes who are ready to elevate their beauty, fashion, lifestyle brand and slay their social media game. Now, essentially, this membership lives under the main brand, which we can see here. It's called Socials and Stilettos, which is a boutique style marketing agency based in Toronto that specializes in helping beauty, fashion and lifestyle brands elevate their business and build an iconic brand through social media, marketing, and PR. That's why they're looking to create something that's a bit more lower ticket for someone who doesn't really have the budget yet for like a full-on blow-up service, right? What I have prepared today is I have already laid down the main branding. So how the main Socials and Stilettos brand looks like, what the brand direction is. We have the color palette and the type suite. Nice. And from these, we will be looking at creating a brand assets for the online membership, right? Now to note, because as I said about the deeply rooted method, so the way that we build the brands is that we have that aspect of branding, so that's the brand aspect, but we also look at the client experience, and then we also look at the marketing and the launch aspect, just because I've seen a huge gap in, you know, especially the online industry, where everything is moving like really, really quickly. Nowadays, everything moves quickly, but specifically in the online industry, there are just so many changes. And I think it's because it's such a it's a new thing, right? It's not something that has been here for 20 years. Yes, there were people online 20 years ago. However, it wasn't the same. Now everyone is a business coach or just a coach in general. You want to start a side hustle. So there are different sets of assets and different things that you need to look out for when creating a brand for online businesses. Because let's say we have a restaurant, it's a completely different process than, you know, someone who wants an online business, and it basically, it almost like it doesn't exist, right? When you look at it, it's just online. Where is it?
Yeah,
it doesn't really exist, right?
It doesn't feel like a real location. Yeah, I got you.
yeah. So I feel like the main goal every time is how can we make this more tangible, and how can we create an actual experience, even though this is just online. You're just looking at, you know, an online program, online, you know, like a website, resources, but it doesn't, you can't go there, like it's not anywhere, right? And it's different when you are selling something that's tangible, whereas if you're selling a membership, right? So how do you actually sell a membership? Because we as human beings, we like to touch things and we like to experience things, right? So let's say you buy a new jacket, like I like to touch it, or at least I know that something tangible is coming my way. So I have that instant gratification, right? Whereas if it's online,
Very true.
I paid and now I'm like, okay, so what happens next? So we need to just make sure that the client experience, again, it's just top notch, and we always think about the client experience when we are designing anything, which you guys see today.
You made a good point as well. I wonder, I mean, a question for you and even for you guys in the chat as well. Do you feel like maybe, you know, even going back to when we were saying lockdown and we're all at home, we had a bit more time to maybe consume even more than we usually would in terms of like online, whether it's social media. And like you mentioned, it's trying to engage people quite quickly because attention span is short across the pond, but even maybe more so even now because of how we had that period of, say, 2 years of being locked in almost like hermit crab, right? And just digesting so much social media. So it's interesting kind of saying that gratification of when you feel like you can actually get something in hand and tangible. Yeah, I guess, do you feel like that the pandemic period or even the lockdown is kind of like exhilarated sort of in terms of how people connect with brands? Does that make sense? Online, 100%. Do you feel like it's,
yeah, 100%, especially because a lot of people, because everyone was, you know, just at home, a lot of people lost their jobs, or like it just wasn't the same, right? A lot of people jumped into the online space without knowing how things basically work. It does look nice from the outside. And again, like I would not change this, you know, even though it comes with a lot of challenges, I wouldn't change this, but it is challenging a lot, you know. And I feel like when you see something online, especially on social media these days, it is definitely true that when you see something online, it doesn't mean it's true or like it's real or, you know what I mean?
For sure,
and I've seen this firsthand, but you can get really caught up in, oh, they are doing so well, or I want this for myself, but then sort of, you know, just realizing
it doesn't feel that realistic, does it?
Yeah, exactly. So
no, I totally get what you mean. And on that topic, I mean, in terms of even like, you know, going back to, I think we were asking our lovely folks where everyone's kind of tuning in from. Where are you tuning in from today, Diana? Where are you based? We've got a few questions about locations. Where are you based today?
Oh, so today I'm in Hungary, Budapest. Is anyone here?
Nice.
Let me know.
Is anyone here from the Budapest crew? let us know, folks. I can see you've got people from California, I should say. There's me going for the lingo. Slovakia, Netherlands, South Africa, New Zealand.
Slovakia.
Yeah, welcome, my friends. And we've got Vladka, I hope I'm saying that correctly, who asked, where are you from, Diana? So I mean, I guess it's obviously location, but maybe, you know, background as well. What is your kind of background in terms of where you're from as well?
So I'm originally from Slovakia, so not that far now from Hungary, but I have been traveling for... How old am I? Oh my gosh, like more than... yeah.
I have those moments too, trust me.
Like
after
10
30,
years,
like, I can't remember. Yeah, awesome.
For like 10 years, so...
I love that. Okay, cool. And I remember when, again, for you guys in the chat, you wouldn't have known this, but myself and Dana had a lovely little catch up a few days before our stream. And I remember hearing about your, you know, your adventures, Dana, because you travel quite a lot. And again, I imagine traveling different places, different communities, you get to see different cultures, and maybe that might influence perhaps some of your work, even branding or even inspiring. But yeah, that's quite cool to hear the journey. I can see everyone kind of listing out where they're from. I mean, literally, we have pretty much the whole globe right now, potentially the whole hemisphere.
I love that.
So welcome, especially if you just join in as well. I can see people just joining in. So yeah, it's all good.
I love that. I love that. And it's so interesting that you have mentioned how the traveling has impacted this, like the style in general. And I think that's so true, because I have been able to live in different countries, not just visit. And I think that's really important to mention, because you can be traveling, you know, you can go somewhere for a week or two, but when you truly experience the country as, you know, like you truly, like you really live there, like day-to-day life, the people, the culture. I feel like that has had such a huge impact on how I design, or like what kind of brand and styles I like to explore. Because I have lived in London as well. I feel like that's like the edgy part, you know, like the dodgy, edgy part.
Dodgy.
But
Are we that bad, are we? Dodgy. I love that. You're selling London to all our lovely folks. Come to London, we're dodgy.
It was cool. It was cool. It was cool. Yeah. You have nothing to worry about, but
that's cool. And I think as well, again, for you know, for people who, and our lovely folks who especially when they watch Adobe Lives as well, I think it's you know, they like to view, because obviously people from around the world that are, you know, designing as well. And I always say that, you know, depending on your environment, your upbringing, your culture, that sometimes influences how you operate and how you design, right? So I know our lovely folks kind of in our audience like to sort of see how other designers operate. So again, on that topic, any questions you guys have about, you know, Diana, her design process, about the brand she's working on as well, please let us know, and even about inspirations as well. So we love to hear it. So yeah, look forward to seeing what you do.
Amazing. I'm also excited to see what I come up with today.
That's the beauty, right? Where you have a project like, you know what, I don't know how it's going to look at the end, but it's just like, you know, you're going to get there, but you just don't know.
Yeah. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but yeah, it will happen.
That's the exciting part though, right? Where it's just like, yeah. I mean, I say that as if I'm a spontaneous, I plan for the plan, but either way, in this case, it's nice. And like we said, we're suckers here for the occasional poll. So any help you might need in like deciding certain things, color palette, I'm sure our lovely chat will get involved.
Love that. Okay, so let's dive in. So let's have a look at the membership goals. So always when we look at designing anything that's online, we look at the goals first as well, because this will help me determine what kind of assets we might need, or what kind of typography I want to use as well, which I'll talk about when I will be picking the fonts. Nice. But essentially, one of the goals is to offer exclusive social media tips, tricks, and resources to those who are not ready for full service management. Establish more trust and create a low ticket anchor offer. And I think like these points are really important to note, because then when we look at like the main brand direction, like the main branding for Socials and Stilettos, it's really bold, really confident, very spicy. It's extra, right? But it's for more seasoned business owners who can connect with this brand direction. When we are looking for someone who, like when we go back here, when we are looking for someone who maybe just started out or is still juggling the full-time job at the same time, it's a different kind of person, where this direction would not really be resonating, because it's like, it's almost like too much, you know, I would even say. So like it's too far away from where they currently are. Therefore, there would be the gap between where they currently are, where they want to get, because their vision is different than someone who has been in the space or like in the business for a couple of years. They have, you know, they know how to bring in revenue. They basically know what they are doing. Yes, this is a really nice direction. They can connect with it, even, you know, even if they are not quite there yet, it's in their vision already. Whereas for these folks here, it's okay, so I just want to get the first sales. I want to start my business. Like, let's start slowly, right? Let's not push this too much, because then I don't want to do this anymore. So I think that's what will be different when we will be designing for this online membership. And it's people in the beauty, fashion, lifestyle area. So like a brand owners, basically. We also have a short ideal client overview. So their current struggles are mostly, they are trying to build their online business, but they feel lost when it comes to actually marketing themselves, and chances are they are not currently making a sustainable income in their business. So that's why this lower ticket offer should sort of help them bridge the gap between, you know, okay, so I don't really have that budget for like a full social media management, like agency services, but I still want to make this work. So this is who we are designing for today. What they need, the solutions, is they're looking for clear sense of direction and actionable steps to take within their business each month, which suggests that this is someone who, like, we need to be simple with them, I would even say. It's like not really overcomplicating things when it comes to design.
Like the steps, like walking them through the steps, you mean, in a way? Kind of like, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so walking them through the steps, and even with the direction, or like with whether that's the creative direction, whether that's, you know, the overall brand assets, I feel like we will go for a more cleaner look that they can connect with, rather than, you know, just going full blown boss babe kind of.
Yeah. Boss babe. I love that. Is that a thing? That's amazing. That is totally a thing. I think just like a question for maybe those in the chat whilst you're still explaining is that I would love to know if anyone in the chat have any experiences or even maybe stories about working with brands and maybe similar to what Diana's saying as well, where you're talking through a client, a project, or walking them through a brief, and obviously maybe not say the names for professional purposes, but again, it's always nice to hear your experiences, especially if you can relate to Diana's one too. So yeah, keep us coming. So yeah, let's go for it, Diana, as you were saying.
Cool. Amazing. Okay. So as I was saying, the differentiating factors, I want this to be softer in style. I want this to look a bit more accessible, cleaner look, in line with the industry, with the audience, basically. And then creative, yet professional, because again, it is for lifestyle brands. So someone, you know, in the beauty space, or even like a fashion brand. So I want this to still resemble that, okay, we are professional, but there are still these aspects that are accessible to me. Plus it's a lower ticket offer. So yeah, that's how I want to keep it. Now, these are just a couple of notes here. So every time throughout the design, like the process, I prefer to have copy ready when it comes to, you know, either it's the website copy or at least so like different points, just so I can test out a couple of things on my end as well. Sometimes, you know, it's better to use an actual copy. I don't know, maybe that's just in my head.
Do you feel like it's luxury sometimes? Like when a client doesn't give you, you have to use Lauren Epsom, right? It's just like so much dummy copy. Like, give me the real thing. I need the real content. It's like a luxury that comes, is like, it's all been signed off, it's all been approved, proofread.
Yeah.
So I get
exactly.
it. Live copy.
Exactly. I feel like it almost looks different when you don't need to really use the dummy text.
So true.
Like, yeah, the specific words, I just want them to see in these specific fonts, right? Like, I need them to see how they will look like. I'm just wondering every time. So dummy text sometimes, but prefer to have some kind of copy, definitely.
Nice.
Okay, so today, again, we will be creating a branding for an online membership. And we will start at looking at the main branding, which we said it's a bit more bolder, more confident, powerful, spicy, and extra. And also the color palette, it's like, yes, it's pink, but we have also decided to go for like one different color that's like really like an orange. But essentially when right. But when it comes to designing like a sub brand, we can call it, in this case it's an online membership, you can still go two ways. So you can either take what you already have and, you know, just use a couple of colors or just one font, or if the client wants, sometimes we create something completely different, right? And I feel like a lot of the times, like in the online industry, like in the creative industry, there is this thing that, okay, so everything needs to be like different, and like we always need something new, something, you know, really special to come up with. But at the end of the day, when, you know, when we look at the foundations of the brand, which, you know, you should all have your brand strategy. I'm just saying.
Of course. I love as like a little disclaimer, like brand strategy, though, by the way, just like sing it to the heavens, Diana. Of course, that's super important. That's super. And maybe you can explain a bit about, I mean, I feel like that's a long thing to explain, but it may be in a way where for those perhaps in the chat are very new to, especially if you're, I don't know, if you're a junior or a grad, or if you don't know much about the industry, like what would you say a perhaps streamlined, simpler version of describing what a brand strategy is? What would you say?
Brand strategy, yeah, it is. But at the end of the day, that's like your brand's Bible. That's where everything lives, right? And I say this to my clients all the time, because sometimes you, let's say you don't know what to share online, okay? What do? Read your brand strategy. Sometimes you are not really sure, like, okay, so what are my next steps? Or is this decision important for me? Or is this the right kind of decision? Come back to your brand strategy. Is this aligned with your brand strategy? So this is where your brand messaging lives, your competitors. I know everyone prefers to do the brand strategy their own way. Let's say for me, I have the deeply rooted method, where we sort of go through a set of questions that are about the founder, just because usually most online brands are personal. So there is this personal aspect that we need to account for. Otherwise, the branding won't really work, because the client can't connect with their brand. So we always start with asking more personal questions and more about their vision and their values as a person. And then we sort of take it into the next step, which is the competitors or anyone that, you know, the community aspect of it, anyone they want to call in, any partnerships they want to call in. This is also the ideal client, which is so important. I know you kind of see it now left and right. You need your ideal client. You need to know who you're serving to. But yes, it's true. You do need to know that. And this is where it basically lives. So that's where you have like a general overview. Plus, we also create a specific profile of a very specific person. And then we move on to the brand funnel, which is sort of a customer journey, like where they can discover your brand, how someone interacts with your brand, you know, sort of different. I feel like the brand strategy, it's about asking the right questions, because usually clients, they already have those answers. However, if you do not work with a professional who can ask specific questions, sometimes I like to be flexible as well with these questions when I see, okay, so this brand goes this way, not this way, right? So that's where sort of I can see the different paths for you as a business owner, right? Which you might not be able to see sometimes. So yeah, long story short, cool. It's your Bible. Yeah, that's where you always go when you forget things.
I love that. And I can see we've got one of our lovely hosts as well, Izzy, who said, again, no strategy, no design, right? So it's kind of in keeping with what you're saying. But it's great to hear your breakdown of it. Again, for those in the chat who are quite new to that space, I think that's a really great way you've explained it. And it feels to me as well, it's like humanizing as well of it. Because it sometimes the person or the client might not really know what they want. And deep down, you have to ask those. It's almost like being a designer / I won't say therapist, but you have to really break down into multiple levels, isn't it? So yeah, it's really cool to hear how you kind of operate. But Diana, I've got a burning question about the brand that I'm dying to know, and hopefully someone else in the chat is the title Social and Stilettos, because the alliteration, I love that. Did you find it took a while trying to think of a name when it came to
so this is actually an agency that already exists, a client
I
that has been with
Socials and Stilettos.
Deeply Rooted Studio for quite a while. Maybe some of their team members are watching right now, but so this is an agency in Toronto that already exists. The owner is very bold and spicy, you know.
I love that you mentioned the word spicy as well. I love that. So I've never heard that being described before in a brand, but I'm gonna go to that brand if I know it's spicy and it's got a little kick to it. I love it.
If someone wants that extra spice, this is where you go. A
This
spicy
is where you
brand.
go. Social and Stilettos. If you want a spicy, sharp brand, there you go. And if you're in the chat from the team, let us know. Say hi. Send us some love. Whilst Diana is obviously designing. So yeah, it's all good.
Amazing. Also, going back to the brand strategy, or like no strategy, no design, I feel like sometimes there's this thing that, okay, so when you are a designer, you have to know, like, you know what to design. Meaning that sometimes we get these inquiries where someone says, okay, you can do whatever you want, right? When in fact, I know I can do whatever I want. However, there is a set of rules that we sort of need, you know? And I feel like this is
Right?
such a huge, because such a huge misconception that, okay, so when you are a creative, you can come up with anything you want. So you are the one that should be creative here. You are the one that should tell me. Where, yes, I can tell you. However, you know, I can design anything that you want. I can come up with a unicorn in your brand if you want me to, right? But at the end of the day, that's actually not what you want, right? So brand strategy, like the document, serves both the client and also a designer to have a set of rules, because even like here, when we have a look at all of this information, it's already laid down, right? I did not come here and, okay, so let's design an online membership, right? I have no idea what we are doing here. And all of this information, again, it's taken out of that strategy, whether that's the brand strategy document or just a strategy session with a client, where you gain the clarity, okay, so which way the client actually wants to go with all of this, right? I feel like if you give a designer too much freedom, like it gives me an anxiety. I don't know if anyone else can.
Yes, I can relate.
Can agree with this, but
yes, let us know in the chat if you can relate. Let us know in the chat if you can. Again, if you made a really good point, and again, it'd be great to know you guys in the chat if you've ever had this. But yeah, having freedom is nice, right? You want to have a bit of freedom, but there's that level of just for your sanity, but also a bit of a safety net, right? Because how long is a piece of string? And I guess maybe, again, some people may in the chat have experience of this, but I don't know if you have as well. But when you find that there's sometimes maybe a lot of amends or a lot of feedback, and it's just you're kind of not reaching the final goal, I guess it's frustrating on both parties, right? So when you kind of revert back to, like you said, the Bible, the brand strategy, it's just for sanity check for everyone, right? So yeah, I can relate to you when you said, Diana, about just like, yeah, otherwise your hair already pulled out.
And I know, I mean, some clients, I feel like they just want to be like nice, and because they understand, they want to give you the freedom. But then me on the other side, you know, when you give me too much freedom, I actually don't know where to go. Like, where am I going? You know, it's like, imagine you have complete freedom over your design. Well, where do you actually start, right? Like, what are we doing here?
So true. And actually, I mean, what's quite interesting, I guess, as well, is like, because creative freedom is really good, right? I guess we're not trying to say it's not good, but then maybe where you feel like you need that creative outlet, that's where maybe side projects or self-directed, that's the kind of things where you can put your real energy and passion into, just, you know, the world's your ocean, right? But at least, you know, because at the end of the day, you're making it up yourself, right? So you are your own brand keeper, as it were. So yeah, let us know in the chat if you got any experiences of that. So yeah, we'd love to hear.
Too much freedom.
Too much freedom. Well, we got Jan in the chat who just said complete freedom in terms of design isn't the best by far. So everyone relates to what you're saying. I feel like as most designers, we were like, yeah, it's good, but it's also kind of bad as well. So it's that sweet spot, right? Trying to get that sweet spot. So
looking for the sweet spot. Yeah,
exactly. So
that's where you eliminate a lot of feedback, you know, as well. Like at the end of the project, because I only present one direction to my clients. That's how I prefer to do it. We truly sort of make sure that the communication is spot on during the project. That's how I know what to do again, and also client knows what is happening on the other side. Because like when you think about it sometimes, I know that a lot of designers struggle with like bad clients, or, you know, like clients not understanding them, right? And yes, there are clients that are like truly red flag, but now it's more about when you step into your client's shoes, it's essentially someone who has no idea, like they have no idea what you're doing and what is happening, right? What is happening with their business almost. So imagine starting a business, and then it takes, you know, it takes guts to give someone else the permission to design for you as well, you know? So I feel like always just looking for that sweet spot of, okay, so where is this agreement here, right? What is happening? So I think it's, you know, if you're someone who is really struggling with like clients that just don't understand, I feel like that's just about the communication. Like a good communication always resolved everything.
That is a
They just
very
sometimes
good
don't
point.
understand.
That's a very good point. I mean, that keyword communication, right? Just and being transparent as well. I always think from the get-go, just being very honest. And spicy occasion, like you said in the going back to your your color palettes. But I'm curious in terms of like your design process, and obviously what we're looking at now. When it comes to say having ideas for things, do you draw things out? Are you more of a, do you jump on the screen straight away and start designing? What's kind of methodology, even for like what you're doing now? Like how did you kind of sort of come about? Would you say, did you have that initial chat with the client and then iron it out? What's your kind of process?
So I don't really sketch things out. I don't know. It's just, I tried it, but it did not work for me. I don't know. I was just confused. My head was confused. So I prefer to just switch on Illustrator and give myself that time. And, you know, obviously we always start with a chat with a client. We also have a Pinterest board, which I can actually show you guys the process of how, let me.
So it's related to
the video here.
Stiletto brand as well? Like, oh, amazing.
Yeah. Cool. So I let my clients do a Pinterest board, right? Where they can pin whatever they like, whether that's, you know, there is a lot of pink, as you can see, but whether that's...
There's a lot of spice on that page, Diana. There's way too much spice. There is a lot of spice, but we love it. We love it here at Adobelive. It's good.
So whether that's, you know, the design style they like, whether that's, I don't know, a favorite mug, or whether that's something that's personal to them that they want reflected in their brand, I just let them be free in this process. In this case, we have like, for a creative direction, obviously some photo shoots. And then we also have like a logo inspiration, which is like a design inspiration. So I always give them the freedom, right? But this is where things get interesting, because as you can see, when client says they want a pink brand, right? They only look for things that are pink. Or when a client says, okay, so I want, I don't know, a cute brand, this is what they look for, right? And that's where you as the expert can come in. And yes, I love all of this, but we don't necessarily need to look at pink things to find an inspiration, right? So I always create my own board. After I review my clients' boards, I also create another board with, you know, I don't necessarily look at the colors, because the colors, again, they actually don't matter. When it comes to like the final design or just an inspiration, it doesn't really matter if it's in pink or green. So I know what to look out for. So this is what I always do. I give my clients the freedom and the time to, you know, just pin whatever they like, because this also shows me what the person is all about, what they prefer, what are their preferences in their personal life as well, and also business, like where is their inspiration coming from, what's in their head, because I do want to know, like I want to get inside their head, because again, like this will show me the rules, like what could be too much. I mean, as we can see with this brand, it's pretty spicy, so Is there too much? I don't know.
I love
Let us know
that. Do you
in the
know what?
chat.
I feel like we need to definitely someone needs to keep track of the word spicy and see how many times we've used as like a keyword. But I mean, so far, if anything to describe our brand, our stream so far, that is definitely the word spicy. And on that topic actually about spicy vibes, we have a lovely Brittany Jones, who's part of the Socials Stiletto team, who said it's all spicy vibes from us over here. And also, Diana, we love you. We're so proud of you. So we've got our you got your friends in the chat already, and obviously part of the team. We've come to see you do some amazing design work. So it's a massive welcome. And again, for anyone who has just joined, because I can see you lovely folks are joining in through YouTube and Behance, so massive welcome. And on today, we're on part one with brand director Diana Jakubcova, and she's creating a brand for a virtual business using Illustrator and a bit of Photoshop. But today, we're in Illustrator, and you've come at a good place to sort of see how Diana operates and how she works and finds influence. So yeah, get those questions in the chat, my lovely friends, and we'll share that with Diana while she's designing.
Amazing. Okay, so when it comes to the Pinterest, this is what I prefer to do, right? So I separate sort of the thoughts. This is my client's head, and then this is what I can see from what they have suggested almost, right? So I feel like you as a creative don't really need to be afraid of new ideas or like suggesting new ideas to your client. It just needs to sort of come from what they have initially suggested or like what's in their head, and then you seeing the gap or like new ideas, the vision, right? Because that's why someone came to you, because they want to see things from a different perspective, right? But sometimes when a client is not really agreeing with the direction, it's just, again, the communication and you explaining where this idea is coming from, right? Just backing things up, just always back things up. If something is not working out, back it up, you know.
So true.
This is here because we are creating a brand that's, you know, like this, like this, like this. And it always works.
So true. And I mean, great to know what you guys are in the chat, but I mean, even from my own personal experiences, sometimes, you know, when, I don't know if you had it before, Diana, of yourself, but you're working on a project and they may actually like a particular option or design, but then it's like they want to see another design just so that they know for certain that's not the one they want, just so they can go back and compare. And it's almost weird because you're like, well, why would I do work if I know it's not going to be the one you want? But I guess it's the people skills, it's about patience as well. I guess it's, especially when you're a freelancer, you can probably relate when you have your own business, but a lot of it is the people skills, right? Because obviously we're designers, we're good at what we do, but you need those elements of patience and the people skills to try and get you through those tough. It's like, how do you address it with not wanting to make them feel like you're rushing them, if that makes sense, or feel like it's just not going a certain way. But like I think you mentioned at the very beginning of it was the idea of walking the client through and you know, giving that breathing space basically to feel like they're not being rushed and that, you know, they feel comfortable with sharing their thoughts with you. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see. We've got some people sharing their experiences as well. Yeah, we've got some people sharing their experiences. We've got Jan, who said, one of my clients always say just a photo with text on it. That would be frustrating. Whoever you don't say the name of the client because it could be her. But yes, it's always always interesting to hear everyone's. I'm sure we've all got our own little stories, isn't it? We all do, but we always got to keep it PG just in case. But yeah, thank you for sharing that experience. That'll drive me crazy. Can you imagine? I want a picture and text. Make it pop. It's like,
make it pop.
My
make
brain's
it bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Make it bigger, but not too big. Just not small,
too big.
Basically. But cool. So we're back in Illustrator. Yeah. Cool.
Back in Illustrator. And I feel like this is such a good point because, again, as I said with the Pinterest, the clients, this happens through my observations at least, because they get too hang up on a specific style or like a specific vision in their head. Now, then what happens is that what they sort of don't really understand is that when I start using different headlines and different letters, different fonts, the style that they see in their head, like it might not match the vision, right? So I feel like that's when things can get a little tricky, when you really need to start explaining to a client that sometimes I do jump into Illustrator and sort of just at least try, you know, to show them that, okay, so the reason why this is not working is because, I don't know, we are using the letter S and it's not working with the style, right? So I feel like, as you said, it's about the patience and people skills and knowing how to communicate when something comes up. But yeah, it usually is only because they have a certain vision in their head that they want to execute. But you as a designer, because we are visuals and we work with typography, we work with the design, we can see before we design that this is not going to work. And that's
true.
the thing, you know, and that's something you
true.
can't really explain to someone who can't see it. So I feel it's definitely a struggle, a struggle sometimes.
But I guess like within, like, I guess it's the more you work with, you know, different people, the more you know about yourself, and you can design it. And so we've got our folks in the chat, and we've got Izzy as about basically saying that we're excited to sort of see the design process and kind of jump into the actual creating work. But I mean, it's been amazing kind of hearing the build up to like how you go about the research and obviously inspiration. And yeah, it'd be cool to sort of start obviously seeing the design of it as well.
Let's jump in.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Okay, let's jump in then.
Cool.
So let's start with a mood board, which I usually call a brand direction because I give it sort of like a backstory when it's especially when it's a main brand. So we always have like a mood board, but I also include what this direction is all about. So like the main one is called She's in Town. And again, it's a bit more playful, bold. So there isn't anything you'll surprise her with. So again, spicy. Who is counting? Let us know in the chat.
Is anyone counting? Yes. Cool. So again, when you're designing as well, like, do you? So obviously, I know we're in Illustrator today, and obviously you'll do a bit of Photoshop. I guess obviously, so you kind of, it's quite nice how you, obviously you get your art boards that you kind of lay them out. It's always interesting to sort of see how other designers, I guess the neatness of how we all operate, because we're all different designers, we're all creatives. Yeah, obviously you're working Illustrator now, and you've got your boards all kind of nicely and neat. So yeah, what would you say the next step is in terms of like where we go now with the design of it?
Yeah, so now we'll sort of create the brand direction, aka mood board, out of the images from Pinterest, but I also have some other images because sometimes I prefer to have images that are better quality. I don't know. I love Pinterest, but you know, sometimes like the professional in me is like, I can't really look at this. Very low quality.
just on that topic of imagery, I mean, it would be criminal of me not to mention, again, you've got obviously beautiful sites that have loads of stock, obviously of course like the Adobe stock as well, because again, you have loads of imagery that you can download and you can do it. But I think for sanity check, it's always good to try and get that high res, and you'll definitely get that on our lovely friends on Adobe stock as well. So always check that out. I'm sure we'll get a link in the chat. But yeah, that always kind of works intuitive of how we operate with the programs and the designs too. So it's cool to hear how you get your
100%. And what I prefer to do is actually not, I know some designers prefer to do mood boards where they drag in different designs. So let's say, I don't know, this type of design, right?
Ooh,
I always download. Cool. This is really nice, right? So I always download like an inspiration, but I don't necessarily drag in inside of the mood boards just because I prefer to look at the experience that someone will get, or like creating the emotional connection, you know, when you see the brand direction. As you can see also here, it's not necessarily like, it's not about the design, it's about the feelings you get when you look at these images and what's behind those images, right? So that's why I prefer to, if I'm creating the brand direction and the mood board, not really using the design inside of the mood boards. I prefer to do a separate mood board, let's call it, with the design style, which helps me sort of like separate, okay, so we are building a brand that it's about like these feelings, like it feels like this, and then I know what kind of design we are also going with, but I'm looking at a different board basically. So
No, it's
That's
good. I mean, I guess it's how
my
like how the
process.
brain operates, right? And it's and I feel like for anyone tuning in again, if you're new or you've been to Adobe Live many times, you'll always see that we're all about how other creatives operate, right? There's no one definitive answer to how you should kind of lay things out or set it out. I think it's each to their own, and it's the beauty of seeing it as well. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see how you operate for sure.
So
I mean,
now
even the
I just
imagery.
wanna,
Oh, I was gonna say the imagery
yeah,
you found as well. They've got a particular sort of color palette as well, right? So I can see that style that kind of keeps it consistent, which is quite cool too.
yeah. And I don't necessarily always look up images with the specific color we want to use, but at the end of the day, you always navigate towards that color. Like you will always get to that color because it's those images, again, the feelings that you get from those images, right? So let's say with this brand direction, because we are going for a style that's a bit more accessible, softer in style, cleaner look, creative yet professional, I really want to sort of see images that, like, let's say with this one, when we zoom in, it's like, I'm chilling on social media, running my small business, right? Kind of vibes. I'm still
Yeah.
cool, not too
I'm still
serious.
down with the
I
kids. I'm
wanted
still down with the kids.
yeah.
I love that.
It's still cool. We are all good. So those are the types of images I was looking for. Then I want to see something that's like fashion, beauty, because it is for someone who is in the beauty space, fashion space. So I want to have something like the books, or if we have candles, perfumes. So like really looking outside of either what the client has pinned to their mood board, looking at who we are trying to serve here. So the ideal client again. So I feel like this is how you can truly see how important your brand strategy is, and knowing who we are designing for, if they will actually resonate with, with all of this at the end of the day.
And by the way, we've got Alessandra who said in her comment, pink is my favorite color, so I'm not complaining about this right now. So you've got a few fans based on the basically the design process, of course, but also your selection of beautiful photographs and color palettes. So yeah, great comment. Thanks for getting that in there. So it's cool.
A lot of pink. We need to wear something pink tomorrow.
Ah, is that a task? Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Is that a
yeah.
Okay, mission accepted. Everyone in the chat.
Everyone in the chat tomorrow, pink.
I love that. That's a cool thing. In fact, if you are wearing, because obviously we can't do videos or anything in terms of CR, but what you can do is, if you are wearing pink, find a pink emoji of some sort. I don't know how many pink emojis there are in the world. My brain's thinking flamingo. I don't know, but there we go. That could be quite a nice way to get everyone involved. Just like, I feel there's only like a few. Anyway, I'm going off piece now. But yeah, I like your task. I will. I've got to find something first. I don't know now. No pressure. No?
I do have pink color, but you can also tag us on social media. Pink squad.
Yes.
Spicy squad.
Is that you'll be trending before the night is ended? I love to.
Oh my gosh.
Number top thing and trending. Brilliant.
Okay, so what I'm liking here is that we still want to pull in some elements from the main brandings. Like this image, like when you look at it, this is the spiciness, right? And now we are looking for the balance with something that's a bit more chilled out. Like I still will be pulling colors, like only pink colors. And maybe we can use some beige just to balance it out. But because again, when we look at the online space and what happens afterwards with the brand, right? So what happens afterwards with the brand is that we are building a website, but we are also building a membership space. We are building out online resources or like masterclasses, presentations,
nice.
something, so that's where these assets become crucial, right? So how can we make that experience for someone, which when we get to the typography or the logos, then I prefer to design different styles, but I'll explain that later.
Nice. It sounds as well like, I guess when we get to that stage, it's the flexibility, right, of how the assets will work across multiple things. So that's quite cool to hear as well.
Exactly. I love that word, flexibility. Yes to flexibility with online brands.
With a hint of spice. Oh, I'll stop it now. I'll stop it. That's terrible. I can help myself. You know what it is? Because the chat, I can see, again, this is what I love about our chat. When you set a task, they will be so on it. So I mentioned about the idea of trying to find a pink emoji. Didn't even think there was that many. We've already got in the chat people putting in the multiple different pink emojis that you can possibly get. There's way more than I thought, actually. So we got Brittany Jones who said, yeah, hashtag pink spicy squad. Yeah, there we go. I hope you don't change your name branding to that, but I mean, it could be. Who knows? Each to their own.
Could be.
But there we go.
Okay, so just pulling different images, and I'll see what I like later. I'm kind of digging this style these days. Something that's bold, clean.
I like as well, like
bold.
the contrast of color, though, because I guess I don't know. Obviously, everyone probably has their own ways of finding ways of how colors can match, and the one amazing one is Adobe Cooler that again you can find different colors of matching. But that's quite where you had the hush and you had the pink and then the dark green. Sometimes finding, like for example on a Cooler website, where you can find how different colors can just match, and even you might not even expect it to marry up well, and then when you try them out, it looks good. Like that one, I'm loving that one. I think it's quite
now
cool.
That you said about the green color, I don't know.
Yeah. Does it make the cut? Does it make the there we go.
I
liked it so much that influenced you into hopefully selecting it.
Oh, you see, we have some green, but if this green was a bit more darker, right?
Yeah.
This is interesting. Okay, I'm starting to see something here.
I think as well, I guess you're probably, I mean, in the process of doing it, but I guess obviously legibility, right? That's always a key. And I guess for those in the chat who maybe worked on it, branding or anything for that matter, really, when you're using color and font and text, it doesn't matter how pretty it is, that it needs to obviously function or at least be legible. And especially for those perhaps who have difficulty with colors or reading text, maybe even slightly smaller than usual. Especially if it's a brand, right? You kind of need that, which again, the brand strategy, brand identity, brand guidelines, they'll probably be in place for how things should be. So like you said, going back to your Bible of go-to things. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I need some images that resemble the community aspect of this membership, because at the end of the day, memberships are like a community piece of your brand, or like any services that you provide, especially let's say like with these, the main one of the main goals is to offer this to someone who starts here but later on converts into working with Socials and Stilettos, right? So actually having that full social media management or PR management, but they do start here. So we want to create that community aspect so that they connect with you and they sort of see the value. Or sometimes what people do before, let's say, they invest in like a larger services, like a full management, is that they want to try things out. They want to test you out, right? And they can do so through these small offers that you have, which can be online membership or something else that is low ticket. So something that's less than like $30, this can be a resource, a mini course, or something that leads later on again to your main services. So with every online brand that we create with online entrepreneurs, is that we always think about their brand funnel and how the client moves through the funnel, so that at the end of the day, they will get to your main high ticket offer. So they don't stay stuck in this, but they get the juicy things, inside of your low ticket offers as well. So you do provide that client experience here as well. So you make sure that you know who you serve. They can, sort of connect with you on a different kind of level, and you create that trust. And you create that trust through the client experience. That's why the deeply rooted method, it's not just about the branding aspect, but it's also about the client experience, whether that's client experience that, Deeply Rooted Studio provides, or the client experience that our clients are trying to provide. And how can we improve this through design, through branding, through marketing?
I love that. It feels like it's the whole package, right? In a sense where one can't really live or function without the other. And again, because again, we have such a wave of, or a range, I should say, of different people who come along to our streams, whether it, like I said, it's students or
Yeah.
grads or those in industry. But it's always cool to sort of understand how both kind of works. And I'm sure our lovely chat appreciates. And actually, just on that topic of our chat, we've got Nicole Tonon, I hope I said that correctly, who's looks as though she's also from the Social
Yeah.
and Stilettos family member. So there we go. They're all here to sort of see you create some magic. So a massive, massive welcome, Nicole. And again, anyone who's in the chat, any questions you have about Diana, about design process, about what we're working on now, please get those in there. I've lost count how many times I've seen the word pink pop up in the chat, actually, for sure. But it's probably trending in the chat the most. But it makes sense because, hey, I mean, the branding is pretty much that kind of palette. So yeah, get those comments in there. We love to hear them. So yeah, it's all good.
I love that. With my mood boards or like the brand directions, you see those really cool mood boards. And I used to create those as well, and I still love to look at them. But I found them, they're pretty to look at. However, they don't really serve the purpose. When something it's pretty, but like, what is the purpose of this? Now, I'm not saying that those mood boards should not be used, but like, let's say with these, as you can see here, yes, they are nice to look at, but the main purpose of your mood board or the brand direction itself is, again, to reflect how your audience will feel, or what do you want to communicate with your branding, right? So a lot of the times, and I used to do this as well, a lot of the times I really focused on creating the coolest mood board there is, right?
Yeah.
When in fact, it's like the not that it's not important, but it's not the main element is for your mood board to just be like cool or pretty or have like this glitter over the top, like different things going on, right?
That's interesting that you say that. I think, I mean, even in my own practice, I don't know if you do it, and again, even in the chat, it'd be good to know what you guys think. But when it comes to maybe sharing mood boards, it is tricky, isn't it? Because you kind of get perhaps fixated on making it look a certain way and almost trying to sell them a vision in a way. But I always find that if I send them, say, a PDF of visuals or anything like that, I'm quite quick to have maybe a Zoom call or like so that way you can kind of explain the rationale.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you find that, but like I always think a solid 5-10 minutes chat is so much more productive than back and forth emails or trying to annotate on PDFs. And I mean, people probably don't have time for that. It's just like a quick chat, give you a breakdown, and then you can probably get quite a lot out of that chat as well. I always find. I don't know if it's
I
same
love
for you.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been sending out Loom videos actually with everything that I do, and anything I send to my clients, I always send like an explanation of what is going on, because as we have chatted before, there is someone on the other side that has like no idea what is happening. What am I actually looking here at? And that's where they might start resent what you have sent because they don't understand. It's only because they don't understand what you sent over. They might be having extra questions. So sometimes, I'd like to check in with clients even before I start designing or even before I create any brand direction. We either hop on a quick call, or again, I send the Loom video sort of the images, like the direction that I have gathered, and I walk them through it. Okay, so this is the vision that I'm seeing for your brand. This is what I can see that we can create together. Are we on the same page, right?
Nice.
This is how you can sort of avoid a lot of revisions.
I feel like that is that in itself is a gem for anyone who's quite new to it, because that's probably the bane of most designers' lives, the back and forth, right? And how do you kind of eliminate, not eliminate, because back and you need to kind of refine things, but I guess it's trying to limit for what it actually really needs to be, right? Why make it 7 revisions if you can get it done in 4? So like you said, it's almost that communication, right, and that transparency from early on.
Exactly.
But I can see we've got a few people who just popped in as well. Hello, Anika, who's also another lovely host, saying hello to you. And actually, the fact that I see our lovely host Anika, it makes me put the question to you, don't forget to save as well. Always save, because we always forget sometimes to press the save button, which we would hate for any of your beautiful work to go get lost. We'll get things. So yes, there we go. I feel like, you remember that paperclip you used to get in Word documents? I feel like I'm that guy just saying, don't forget to press save. Yeah, that's pretty much me. So there we go. Always save your work, my lovely friends. We've got a lovely comment as well. On the topic of branding as well, what you were saying from Brittany, who said, you have to almost read between the lines and remember, as a client, we might know what we want, but we don't always know what it is best for us and our growing brand. So yeah, that's a very good shout. And even from being on a client side of things, obviously we're designers, so we don't see it from that perspective, but I guess there's a sense of trust as well, right? It's the more you work with them, the more they know you, the more you know them, and it just makes it a bit more easier for the working relationship to kind of to flourish.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you have mentioned this, actually, because that's exactly why I prefer to get to know my client like really, really well, whether that's through the first call or a specific set of questions that I send out at the beginning when we start working together, because this will sort of show me where, like, who they are as a person. And then, you know, as we start working together, I sort of gather feedback with these short looms. That's why I send them out right throughout the process. So this is how I gather the feedback of, okay, so this might be too much for the client, because some clients, they don't mind if I go into different creative, you know, like directions, but some clients, they prefer to keep things a bit more simple or a bit more clean, or they might have different preferences. So this is actually how, you know, through these short looms and like gathering the feedback before I start designing, before we jump into the next step. That's why I sort of send those out, just to kind of see, okay, so where is the line almost? Where do I need to
we
stop?
need the line,
you know?
Please, like, we need a line, client. Please give us even if it's a dot from a distance. At least we know we're going towards something. But yeah, so I can see you've got a nice little I mean, can you zoom in a bit for our audience to have a little view into it?
Yeah, of course.
So we've got our nice little collection of brand directions and visuals. What would you say the next step now in terms of the design process would be?
So now I want to move on to the color palette and the type suite so that we can start designing the logos. Now, because this lives under the main brand, again, hear me looking for the shortcuts because my keyboard,
okay.
you know, it's in Hungarian language.
No judgment. You're in a safe space here, so you're good for it. You're very much in a safe space. Take all the time you need.
Found them.
Cool.
So when we look at this one, I think I'll just copy it and take it with me over here. And I think I'll just pick out a couple of colors from the main color palette. I'm pretty sure that because the main brand, again, it's a bit bolder, so we will reserve these more bold pink colors for that brand. So I'm just going to delete them because we want to create something that's a little bit more clean or at least resembles a cleaner style, more simple style. But I also love the suggestion of the green color, like a dark green.
I think that's nice. Like almost like I mean, it's just a dominant color, especially in comparison, but it's nice to have that secondary palette, which just, I always find, like, if you've got, like, for example, like a dark green, a very, very light pink, and going really off piece now, if you're doing more branding and it's more, for example, the text, because, you know, for example, you put a light color with a dark color on top, or dark text, it's going to be super legible. So that in itself acts as like a tool for how imagery and even text should kind of correlate. I find, but yeah, I'm liking that one.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I did like the pink, by the way, but I also like the green too. Green's actually my favorite color, so there we go. Oh yeah, I've got to get that in there. So yeah,
I definitely love the dark green with the pink. It's a bit different, but again, I feel like this, like what this could communicate actually when, like, let's say when we use it on the website, we can have a couple of like really bold like those bold sections, something like this, where it's essentially just green and then have the light pink on the top with like either the main headline, tagline, or something like this, and then it scrolls down. So again, you see, as as I design, I always think about, oh, what is going to happen on their website, or like on the sales page, or when someone joins the membership, like what is the platform that we are using, and like what kind of experience I want them to get. So that's basically how I look at every single brand, which sometimes, it's really difficult to sometimes explain what is going on in your head. So I feel like this stream, it's like it's the closest that you will ever get inside my head.
So I love that. I mean, if anyone needs a selling point for today's stream, that is it. If you want to see Diana's head, you have come to the right place to sort of see how I mean, that's pretty much actually Adobelive in a nutshell. We want to see the designer, how they think, how they process things. And that's the beauty of it, right? Because we're more than just a designer, you're a human being. So we want to know how the two kind of work together. And yeah, I think, do you ever find, I always feel like as designers, I mean, I'm a bit biased saying it, obviously being a designer myself, but like, especially when you see color palettes, before you even start designing a project, say using it, you can almost imagine how it's going to work. So say, for example, you've got two colors, whether it's a green or a pink, if you overlap how it would work. And I think, I don't know, I don't want to call it like a superpower maybe, but it's like, it's quite cool that our brains function in a way where, because we use colors all the time, you kind of know in your mind what will work and what will match. It's just trying to explain that maybe to a client who's not maybe that exposed to working with colors that often. It's like, describing something that they might not know. So
in design, it's always, it happens all the time, whether it's with the colors or with the fonts or a specific, let's say like an illustration or element that the client wants to use. Sometimes, like as a designer, you can already see it in your head, like what they have suggested, and you already know that this is not going to work.
So
but
true.
To walk them through the whole process, okay, so this isn't going to work because let's say like essentially your business name is too long, sometimes it's too short to look the same, so those are like the small things that I know that it's just not gonna work. But you do need to walk your client through it, just so they also understand, okay, so I'm not trying to bash your ideas or something like this. Like, I'm here to support you, but this might not be the best idea.
And I think, I mean, that's a really great point, because it's being respectful as well, right? It's obviously in their minds they have a vision, but as designers, we're the professionals, right? So it's knowing that you feel comfortable as well with challenging the client, because I always feel that is something that and it'd be great to know what you guys think in the chat if you have this experience before. But when you challenge a client, it's that kind of weird moment where you don't know how they're going to take it, and obviously you're trying to do it so that you get the best deliverable possible, of course, and that's why you're doing it out of positive energy. But depending on the individual, you have to kind of maybe be quite smooth, or a bit more, is that the right word, a bit more tactful, I should say, with how you go about saying things, which again, there's no definitive answer to it. It's just a learning curve, right? The more you do it, the more you think. I think someone put in the chat about being like a therapist for their client, which is a little bit like that in a way. But it's a case of wearing many hats. But also that's the beauty of what we do as well, right? You can have a bit of options as well. So I'm liking what you're doing right now, where you're kind of, that's your kind of swatches where you've got them together. Looking good.
And I mean, sometimes it's just figuring out, the perfect, again, like the ratio of the green now, let's say. Like I really want to make this work, this green, because I can also kind of see how the photo shoot could look like. But only using, again, this color, because even in like the branding, oh my goodness. Okay.
We're still
Ignore.
We're on this journey of the scroll from the diagram. I love it. It's just like we're on this journey. Hold on to your hats.
So even in the main branding, we won't be using this orange like too often, right? It's there for buttons on the website, or let's say like a one main banner, but the rest will be pretty much like either pink or like it will sort of like fade out. So I imagine the same could happen with the green here, where sometimes, because we also do creative direction for clients, meaning the photo shoots, that's where you can bring in those colors. So sometimes how you can balance out a couple of things in the branding when you do want it to look different, what you're looking for is always the balance, right? So let's say you want to use a green color in here, but now we don't need to have everything green, right? We can sometimes just bring small accessories to the photo shoot that have the same color palette, just a small details here and there. That's how you can sometimes balance things out, because sometimes it can get like too much, especially when, let's say, you're designing, I don't know, this can be with any style basically. You know, someone says that you want like a I don't know, pink cute brand, right? We don't want everything cute. Like we want to mix things up. So something that looks clean. So like which brand asset can bring the cleanliness into the brand, but then also which asset can bring the fun part, right? So in this instance, the green color, the dark green color, could be the like the more professional and the clean side of the brand, whereas the pink ones bring in the creative side of the brand. And then once we move on to the typography, that's where you also again pick out the fonts that balance out everything, right? So let's say we want something creative, but again, we don't want this to be too creative, you know? So again, we're looking for that balance all the time.
And I feel like for those brand boffins, is that a right word? Brand gurus, say in the chats, for those who maybe work in this space a lot, you're probably even, maybe I haven't really touched on it really, but like even the color theory of things as well. There's a whole theory behind, you know, certain types of colors and what you use, and that in itself is a whole thing. But again, you kind of broke it down quite nicely about how the colors could be used, and the professionalism of the green, say, and the fun quirkiness of the pink as well. And again, I guess it kind of comes down to the brand values as well, if that's the kind of keywords you're using to discuss it. But on that topic as well, I'd say about half an hour left. I mean, the time has completely sort of went ridiculously quickly. But so any questions, my friends, in that chat, please do get them in there for Diana. Again, it could be what her favorite color is. I mean, I'm guessing it's the pink, but I don't. Is your favorite color pink? Have I just assumed? Is that wrong? What is your favorite color?
Yeah. Is it pink? Okay, it's definitely pink as well.
Okay.
Yeah, pink. I have a pink client. We have a pink branding. Okay. Everything aligns.
Okay. For a minute there was a moment when you said, and I was like, oh, maybe I was wrong for actually. It's not the pink actually. It's like it's orange. Cool. Well, that's each their own. But it's for a minute my heart skipped a beat there, but we're good. It's definitely pink. I don't know what gave it away. Doing a pink brand, of course. So yeah, like we said, folks, get those questions in. Anything you want to ask. Please do let us know in the chat for about half an hour left.
Yeah, I'm still wondering about this green. I want to get dark, but not too dark that it looks like a black color. You know what I mean? What do you guys think? Should this be more green-ish or...
It's tricky because my eye, I don't know what you guys think in the chat, but like my eyes perhaps are just really terrible. My glass will be on, but like it's so close in color that it's hard to maybe differentiate. I guess if it's because I remember you had a visual where the green was quite light. I don't know if that was one on your. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
This one, right?
Maybe they're two different types of green that you can kind of maybe differentiate between. I don't know. What do you guys feel? Are you in the chat? Are you team dark green, team light green? What would you think that would go quite well? Yeah, that's quite cool. Yeah, that shows the differentiation of the two. Let us know in the chat.
This reminds me of something. I don't know if this reminds me of something I want to use with this brand or not. I cannot decide, but I do love the aspect of the dark green because on the top of my head I can remember that again with like the photo shoot that the client could have. There was this specific green chair that I loved in previous photo shoots, so maybe I have influence with like the dark green chair.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, by all means, if that's your preference, you're gonna like kind of slip it in and don't even realize. I love that. It's weird. I don't know if it's me, and you let us know in the chat. My brain is seeing ice cream. Is that really bad? I think it's the color palette of maybe just like ice cream, but I can see that. I think it's the pink and then the lightness of the basically the brand is just delicious basically, but I can see a particular color. I guess when you see it in context of the wording and the logo design that we do as well,
Yeah.
it will make a lot more sense as well.
Yeah,
when we apply it.
100%. So sometimes, now that we are getting into the typography and such, sometimes when I can't really decide with the colors, I leave it as they are, and then I move on to the next step. So I try it out on, as you said, on typography, and then how it could look with the logos. That's where then I can sort of see, okay, so is this going to really like work out? Sometimes I just, delete the whole color if it's not something, because like when we look at this one, like when it's on a large area, I would even say, it does look quite good, because again, when we think about the website, it might have another section that's pink, right? Like a pink banner.
Yeah, I see. Like, almost like a division, you mean? Like when you divide the landing page. Yeah, I get that. I hear that.
Yeah, right. So not, again, really using the green as, I don't know, in like a different ways. And then when you have like a call to action button, could be something. You don't want this. But again, we can kind of see when we start now picking out some fonts. Now, as we said at the beginning, the Creative Studio took 4 months, but we don't have 4 months. We have like 20 minutes. So let's get things
the
started
streamlined version.
I
love that. The streamlined form. Can you imagine like something that took 4 months could be done in 20 minutes? That's absolutely mental. But I guess I mean, if you have the 4 months to spare, it's a nice journey, no? Like having a time just to have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, and then try and find some. So actually, where's your kind of go-to for fonts? Where did you when it came to the font, where did you go?
So a lot of my fonts are from Adobe, obviously, but then when it comes to designing some types of brands, I keep in mind the budget that the client has for the typography. So sometimes that can, I might have an idea, but again, some of the fonts,
How realistic can it be? Okay.
Yeah, how realistic can it be when now, I present this font that costs basically £800? Yeah, I don't know.
Like if you like it, right? You buy it. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah.
Oh, I like that. That was interesting. Cool, that was intense. What was that?
I think it's the font. Oh yeah, so there is this website. There is this guy who has really cool fonts. He's called Brandon Nickerson. I think.
You looked at me like you made that up. I love that. Is that I think his name is Mr. Font. Okay, cool. No, I believe you. I trust you. I trust you. And by all means, he's a real person. He's a real person. Fonts in the alleyway. I love that.
Oh yeah, because the Deep Throat Studio font, it's also from him. He makes like different types of fonts. So there, in online space, when it comes to a specific type trends, they can pick up really quickly. So there are a couple of font designers specifically that design fonts that are really nice, but then at the end of the day they get overused almost. So sometimes I really feel sad because I can't use. I don't want to use them. Like, the font looks really good, but I know, like it's everywhere. Like everyone is rebranding, and I can see the same font. Basically.
Do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of like in a band, and then everyone likes the same band, so it's like gone mainstream now. Sorry, I've gone off piece there. Yeah, go for what you were saying.
Yeah, but it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, it's so popular, and I can see actually we've got the lovely Anika who's actually put Brandon Nickerson in the link in the chat. So this is a real person. This is great. Not that I doubted you for an absolute second. And I can tell Anika's actually vouched for it. So there we go. We have Brandon Nickerson in all its flourish in the chat. So yeah, it's great. It's always cool to sort of see how other designers, you know, where they go to get their fonts. Like you said, obviously we got Adobe fonts. We've got obviously this chap Brandon Nickerson as well. There's many places online where you can get fonts. The only thing I would always say is just check careful on the old permissions, right? Because I guess a lot of fonts obviously have permissions and crediting people, and always make sure, you know, people spend time making it, so you want to obviously give back to the community as well. So yeah, I can see we're playing a few different fonts now, right? Kind of going through.
Yeah. Because
awesome.
I know that we want something maybe like more bubbly, I would even say, and then we sort of like pair it with something, maybe this one. Sometimes I like to grab fonts from the main brand, especially I feel like we will be using the same paragraph fonts, because I don't see, you know, when we have the website or landing page or something like this, I also always think about the client and how easy or how difficult this would be for them to use. Because again, let's say you create branding for restaurant, or I don't know, like a packaging for a chocolate or something like this, the founder or like the client won't really be doing much with these things, you know, like it is what it is. You have the website, you have the packaging, you're basically just the founder and you're selling, you're focusing on different things. Whereas in the online space, the founder is really involved in everything, right? Whether, even though they're not designers, they usually all of them need to know how to design their website, how to design different resources, you know, so they are using it on a daily basis. So I always think about the client. Okay, so will this be really difficult for my clients to use? Even if you do the brand guidelines, you know, it can sometimes be really tricky for them to still be able to know and kind of pick up the style that I have made up for them when they're not the designer. So they can really see whether this is, you know, like, is this correct? Can I use it this way? So again, I always think about the client and how they will be using it, where they will be using it, if it's easy to upload different fonts to different platforms, websites, and how these combine as well. So it's not just about a pretty and nice design, it's also a design that's functional, right, at the end of the day.
Totally get that. That's a very good point. And I think we can touch on it before, excuse me, where it helps as well to actually show the client in situ, right? So for example, if you've got a lot of body copy, you want to show them, right, well, you know, this is a secondary font, this is how you would be using it in that section. I don't know if you found it before, but nothing worse than maybe you might do a bit of branding, a bit of logo design, and then you send it off, say, to the gods, i.e. the client, and then maybe a few months or even a year later, it's not being used in the way it should be intended. And I don't know if anyone else can agree in the chat, but it feels, I mean, each to their own, right? But it feels maybe a little bit heart destroying a little bit, because like, but you're not using it in the, and I think it comes down to sometimes legibility, because like you said, that beautiful font you've got in maybe the middle one, that looks great for like a, 2-3 words max or so, but to have that in like body copy, it would just be crazy for anyone to read. So it's all about that balance and showing the client things in situ,
Exactly. So I'm still thinking whether we should go bulk or something that's a little bit more. I even like something like simple, but then again,
well, do you know what you can do?
Sometimes I love. What? Tell me.
No, sorry, no, go for it. Sometimes go for it, and then I'll tell you what my plan was.
Sometimes I love just the cleanliness of some brands, and I want to use it, but some clients, they want something different, you know. I would love to know from other creatives. Do you ever struggle with this? You know, you want to keep it clean, but then clients want something, you know, extraordinary or like
jazzy,
amazing. Whoa!
I want shiny stars. Make it
and then
pop,
I get like confused.
You gotta make it pop. No, what I was gonna say is, and I think it's going back to at the very beginning of our stream. Again, when we're sort of stuck on a few choices, I want to ring my little poll bell, and basically that is a great chance for those in the chat to maybe do a little poll, perhaps, to get everyone interested in it. So maybe I mean, you've got you've got 3 or 4. Let's say 3 options of fonts. When you pick your third one, we could do like a little poll maybe and see what people in the chat perhaps thinks of the options.
So what I'm thinking, either bulk or something something that's a bit not like cleaner, but even something like this.
Can you zoom in a little bit just so we can all marvel at your designs?
Oh.
Let me see it. There we go.
Nice.
Let
me
I'm liking that last one,
so
actually.
we don't
That's looking good.
Right? This is like really clean.
I'm getting like Coco Havana, like sort of, I don't know, like I'm getting those kind of, what did I think of that? That was from anyway, yeah, from a movie, which I'm gonna go off piece now, but I'm not gonna do that. I like the sort of shape of the wording, actually. I guess number 1 and 2, are they the same font but just different weight? I can't reach my eyes.
No, it's a different font actually, but they're very similar, right?
Yeah,
like very similar.
It's the T and the L.
Yeah, so if I would be using something that's like a bit more bulky, then I like this one just because it's like it has this nice like cutouts going on that you know, that's like really interesting. But also now that I'm looking at this one, but again, I feel like I have seen this before somewhere. That's like the other thing, you know, when you start
for sure
with a design, and because I do have that, you know, initial research done with what is happening online as well, like what has been launched over the last couple of months, it does remind me of something, but I like it because if we were to pair it with this font, like,
yes, yeah,
you know, it's like it's easy, but
no, it's looking cool. And I can see we've our lovely moderator Sam, who's just put in the chat a lovely poll for you guys to click on via Behance and have a look and actually vote for which ones you like, if it's 1, 2, and 3. Should we perhaps go back to this just so people can have a real idea of which ones they are. So starting from the top, I guess would be number 1, and then so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is always an exciting part because you never really know what the chat is kind of thinking, what their vibe is. So
yeah.
So yes, my friends, place your bets. No, pick your poll what you like now. Why am I saying that? Yeah, so the top one being option 1, middle one being option 2, and then the third being option 3. Yeah, let us know. What are you guys vibing towards? Please let us know in the poll. Have you got a favorite, Diana, that you like? Or I feel like it influenced the chat, isn't it? Terrible me asking that, but
yeah.
I'm curious to know. Maybe we should keep it secret until we know the results. It's all very political.
What I think is that this is safe. The option number 3 is safe, and this is different, you know. So I think it's always, again, in this instance, I would message a client, right, and explain, okay, so we have 2 options. We have a sort of safe option, right? Or we can create something that's a little bit bolder in style, but still in line with the main branding. I feel like even if we were to pair it with like a script font, I really love this one. It's Adobe font. That might be interesting.
Well, no, if you see me smiling a lot, it's because the chat is popping off, and I want to feed you. I'll start drip feeding you some of the comments, but it's we look as though we may have a winner actually, but there's also some amazing comments about when we've got. I'll just say actually, we've got one here that says basically asking you to pick your favorite Diana is like asking you to pick your favorite child. That's dark, but also quite hilarious. There we go. So we have a winner actually. I think from a
okay.
Right, I feel like we need a drummer of some sort. So we have 1 vote. Well, let's just go to the winner, basically. We have, it looks at the option 3, the last one seems to be the favorite. I feel like we might have influenced the chat.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, I like what you've
Let's
done there
go
though.
with
You've
this
mixed
one.
it up with the top one.
This
Where you've
one, right? Now when I'm looking at it, I love
now the
how
plot
it's
thickens. Okay.
connected. There is a plot because I
Yeah.
love how this is connected.
There's a plot.
Look at these guys. What do we
It's nice.
think?
In the words of Brittany Jones in the chat, it's effortlessly spicy. Lol, that's what she said. We were going so well about using that word, the S word, and then boom, you've just come back out, Brittany. There we go.
We need the spicy. We need the spicy
Yeah.
then.
But it's cool
Again,
how
as I
you
said,
sorry, go for it. No, go for it.
this is the safe one, right? So a lot of the people, they do pick this one a lot of the time because it's safe, right? That's where you're like your mind goes first. But then these are just the fonts, right? So if we were to use them in an actual design, I feel like we can do a bit more with something like this than a combination of this one. You know, when you look at this, like the third one, when we are designing for online space, I prefer to do at least like 2 variations of the secondary logos. Then we have some icons just to, again, spice things up. We need to trademark this word if it's possible. Spicy.
We do indeed. But I like how you've with the words connecting again. That's the part of the experimentation, right? Of when you're looking at branding, and I guess it's whether work, because again with the wording, obviously it's quite long, but it's quite nice to maybe see how it's even stacked as well, because obviously we've got it linear, seeing how things are stacked, because again, depending on how it's used, whether it's, I always think it could be a header for, I know, a letterhead, for example. It could be a social media circle as well. So again, it's kind of seeing how the font could be stacked, which can be tricky because I guess the word club is obviously not as many letters, so you might get it being a bit weird. But I like what you've done there, where it's the 2 different fonts and they've got a connection.
Right? Yeah. And because I'm someone who tends to do exactly the opposite what someone else says, so we have a winner, the number 3, so I'll go for the first one.
Well, actually, the plot thickens because now that we have a plot, this is our great mastermind scheme. It's coming to fruition. I love that because whilst you were designing the one on the white now, we've got a comment from Audrey who said, I thought number 3, which is the one everyone votes for, but I love where you're going now with the new one. So there we go. I mean, I'm liking that as well. I guess it always depends on and let us know in the chat, guys, what you think. If legibility would always be an issue, because it's such a beautiful font, and maybe it'll work when it's like really big, but sometimes if it's really small, depending on the individual. But I, as a starting block, I think that's really, really nice.
Right?
Yeah, and the comments, we're getting some really nice comments about it as well.
When we try something out, let me grab here. Oh, this is a whole journey with this artboard. I'm not gonna lie. Let's go back.
You do what I do. I have so many artboards. Sometimes I do the whole hide artboard, and then I feel like I have the ocean to play with, because there's no does that make sense? Yeah, there's no obviously grids to, as it were, but the dangers of that is I work massively big as well. So each to their own, of course, but yeah, it's always nice to see how other creatives operate and work, and how tired they are as well. Are you a layer when it comes to layering? Are you a layers color? Really, Diana? That's naughty. No, each to their own. Let us know in the chat. What are you guys? Yeah, are you do you color code your layer? Are you that person? Do you color code a layer? Or do you just think no, you know where things are, you have a method to the madness?
I just
no
just go with the mess, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure. No layers.
I would like to be like that. So yeah, we got Sam in the moderator, so he names a layer but doesn't color code. See, I feel weird for doing that. I know it's just the way I operate, but I always think, my brain tells me, and maybe because I was in that situation before, where if someone sends me a file, to be fair, they can still go through it if it's named as well. The colors just being extra, but I don't know. Maybe I think it's like when I see it in red, it means like I'm really like having to work on it. And when it's green, it's like, we're in a good place. I don't know. I'm a simple-minded person, so maybe it's the way I operate. Please let us know in the chat. Is there any color-coded layers out there? I can't be the only one. But anyway, going back to your lovely process, it's looking good. I'm liking the color palette you've done there now with the two-tone.
Now with the green one, we have, I feel like it looks really good. So let's say, for this instance, this could be a presentation slide, right? So this is how it would look like, and I am loving it so far. But let's maybe have some other options.
Nice.
If we just pick this one. Yeah.
And whilst you're doing it, I'll say, so we've got about another 6.2 minutes. I always just do it to make it be funny. 6 minutes basically, let's say that. And then what we can do is after we'll do like maybe a nice little wrap up and see what we've done for today's session. But for now, you've got a solid 6 minutes to do. Are you gonna do like another design quickly and see if we can
yeah, I'm just trying something out.
Nice.
Like a small
Ooh. Diana, guess what?
No.
We have someone else who color codes layers. We've got Gareth in the chat. He said he also color. I'm not the only one. No, there we go. I hope you're not feeling sorry for me by saying that, but that's good to know. Not the only one. That's cool. That's cool. Each to their own, of course, like we said. So yeah. Okay. Is this like I forgot, what would you call it? Like is it an icon? I guess it's like the initials. That's the one I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Nice.
like initials. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking good.
Let's try. Now with this keyboard, I'm like sometimes afraid to press something because, as I said the other day, was not good.
You just had ticking and it's just, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's like defusing the bomb, isn't it? You don't want to be doing that.
What's gonna happen?
Just out of curiosity, do you again, it's probably the setup. Do you have like a tablet? Do you work on a tablet, or are you more keyboard and mouse? Are you more comfortable in that?
So I currently have the Magic Mouse, but I'm not happy. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. Have you ever tried? The magic? Not really. Yeah. I'm not really impressed. That's how I would.
Okay.
That's how I would describe my feelings with the Magic Mouse. It's not really that magical.
Yeah. She's happy with the stream, by the way, and the chat, but it's the mouse she's talking about. Don't worry, people. It's not. It's not you. It's me.
Mouse we are talking about here.
It's the mouse, Derek. I just imagine anyone who just jumped in that last part of the conversation, like, what is going on here? So there we go. There is a method behind what we're saying. Okay, so you're using the roundel now.
Icon.
Working with text. That's cool.
Yeah. It's like a simple icon. I have like this specific style of icons that I like, and then I use them in clients' presentations, like whatever they, post. And I think that has become like a signature style of Deeply Rooted Studio, having the icons like just poking from one side or the other side. So I think I'm gonna do the same with this one as well.
What's nice about that as well, it feels obviously it's all text in that space, but it feels quite decorative as well, which is quite nice as well, seeing in that space, right? So it's looking good.
Something that is plain, but then maybe if we have the color.
By the way, our folks in the chat are absolutely loving your design, what you're working on now as well. We've got Elisandra who said, this is looking great with a pink love heart. Of course it's going to be a pink love heart. What other colors would it be? Could be green.
What other colors?
Yeah, there we go. So
I am very happy with the green.
Yeah, could you zoom in a bit more actually, so we can kind of marvel at because it's quite nice having the two side by side and we can see in context.
Right?
Yeah, it's looking good. Looking really good.
So interesting because going into a live stream with not knowing how this is going to end, and now seeing, I have something.
Yeah. Can you imagine that's how we always work? We always forever have live stream. Like every project in the world is literally we just have a live stream, and basically I don't know what it's going to be, but at the end, it's going to be good. No, I like it as well. And again, it's because obviously the chat, we had the people doing the polls as well, they're interacting as well and directing, which I always think that's cool because again, you've got people, and again, our audience, I just say not people, our lovely audience who are in different spaces, different career levels, whatever it is, but I think it's going in with a fresh mind, so that it's not, because when you're designing yourself, you can kind of get maybe caught up a bit, almost like tunnel vision slightly. I don't know if you ever have that, right? you need an outsider kind of looking in to then give you another fresh perspective in it all. So yeah, it's looking
Definitely.
good.
I love to play with different letters, so I don't like this one though.
So
Sometimes it's funny.
Oh, go for it. Sorry.
Sometimes it's funny how so let's say here the S looks really nice when it's like a title, but when it's alone, like here, it's not that, you know, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I prefer this one.
And by the way, as much as I'm loving these and you're applying for it so quickly though, which is even really cool to see. We're at that sort of moment now where maybe we could do like a little wrap up. And again, by all means, because we've got our part 2, of course, we have tomorrow, which we all know. So we could definitely continue a bit of it. But how about we do like maybe a 2-minute little 2.5 minutes. There we go. I'll give you an extra 5 minute, half a millisecond to kind of maybe do like a wrap up of what we've worked on today.
Yeah, let me zoom out. Okay, so today we were basically coming up with a brand direction for an online membership that lives under a main brand, which is called Socials and Stilettos. It's a boutique style marketing agency based in Toronto that specializes in helping beauty, fashion, and lifestyle brands elevate their businesses and build iconic brands through social media, marketing, and PR, right? We are creating an online membership space that is low ticket, which we want this to be like an anchor offer for any future clients that come in but cannot afford like the full management, basically agency services. We wanted this direction to be a bit more softer in style, more accessible, a little bit more cleaner in look, but still in line with the industry, still in line with the main brand direction, which you can see here. Then we have also created a new color palette. So we essentially took a couple of these out of the main branding and created a new brand direction and the new color palette that's now here. I have decided to go with the darker green. I feel like that looks really well now that we look at the typography that we have chosen with the logo that we went for. I feel like it's such a nice mixture, you know. And then I can imagine how, let's say, the photos could bring a bit more lightness into it. So maybe this could be a space that's a bit more white, that's like has a lighter background at least. So that's how I can imagine this would be really well balanced.
Oh, I can see that working. I mean, the beauty as well, if you zoom in a bit more on that final one, the one that we're just doing on the green background, I think it's gonna be cool because again, how the sort of subtitle underneath where my eyes are terrible. Does that say an exclusive membership club?
Exclusive membership club, yeah.
My eyes are not that bad. That's good. You can imagine how in like different options where that could sit as well, right? Whether it's in the center, whether it's perhaps more under the club part. It's kind of the ways of how you got it. But and even the connection you mentioned, obviously you connected the A and the C as well. I thought that was quite nice how you've it
was unexpected turns of events.
Do you know what I think as well? Just on that, it's the you see the thinness of the bottom of the A as well. It's kind of in keeping with the thinness of the swoop,
the swoosh. Swoosh, right? It's like it was meant to be. I feel like this was meant to be. What do you think?
So yeah, no, I think it works really well. I think it works really, really well actually. And again, do you know what I'd be curious to see? And this is definitely maybe one we can explore a bit tomorrow, but is how it works with imagery as well. So like imagine if it was like a cover picture, like I don't know, say Facebook or Twitter or whatever it was, you could totally see this working really well, and that can be a nice dark image to replace the dark green. And obviously in the world of mockups as well, right? Because it's always nice to sort of see how branding works on top of mockups too, you know? So
definitely.
And then perhaps go at the bottom just for me, got like maybe 1 more minute left to the ones you're working on just now. Do you want to talk us through those last little bits?
Small icons. Yeah. So I love to always design icons, even like different icons. I feel like tomorrow there could be one more icon we could do. Just so we have like a different options to pick from. So the brand is a bit more flexible. Again, the online industry, you know, you're sharing basically every single day something online. And I find this sometimes clients are missing, or they are looking to always add something new. So that's how I create flexible brands, is that it is rooted in their values, and then we sort of take it and design the assets that they can use throughout the next couple of years. But they still have that flexibility, right? Because I don't want them to just have the main logo. I want them to have a couple of icons, a couple of different versions. Sometimes it's an Instagram post. Sometimes it's, as you said, like a Twitter or LinkedIn. So how are these being used? How can we create that, again, that experience that it's still fresh, it's new, you know, they don't get bored of it, basically.
No, I get that. And I know for a fact from all the lovely, amazing comments, no one's got bored of this stream, and it's been good. It's been funny with the occasional spiciness, right? Obviously, no pun intended. So on that note, I mean, it's a great time to kind of maybe wrap up now as our first day. But just to kind of flag for you lovely people, we'll be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific for part 2 with Diana, and you can join us there, where she'll be creating some mock-ups and show us how to help clients promote their businesses online. And of course, Adobelive will be back tomorrow for a new episode of Get Social with Andy Lambert and Geordie Ellis on the Adobe Express channel. Diana, it's been my absolute pleasure to host you. I'm super excited for tomorrow. I hope you are too. Yeah?
Me too. Yeah, I'm super excited now that I can see, okay, we've got something to work with. Good to go.
Wicked. And again, it's thanks to you guys in the chat for all your comments, all the suggestions. We love to hear them. So a massive thank you, of course, to our Adobelive team. Thank you to our lovely audience as well. And we'll catch you with part 2 for tomorrow. So we'll see you then, my friends. Take care. Ciao, ciao.